But last season was very much an eye opener for me and an eye opener for everybody else.
Let the fish play. Yes,
We're just trying to do as much as possible, you know.
I would have been shouting, I would have been
Shouting,
screaming. I
screaming.
was like,
There's too many teams now that I don't recognise. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legion Login. I am your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host,
Logan. Hello.
We're here today to talk all things London Legion and Rainbow Six Siege. Should we get started?
I was going to say, do you want to start with
well, we should probably start with more introductions first. So I am the London Legion Rainbow Six Siege manager. I have been since June 2024. Led the guys through the previous NSE 2024 winter split and now in this 2025 spring split. Yourself?
I am London Legion Rainbow Six's captain. You know, I'm the one who gets the flack from him whenever something goes wrong.
All the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every day.
You know, I'm the one the team has to communicate with for lower level stuff, and I'm a lot more, you know, hands in with the team than Sam maybe sometimes, as managers have a lot more to do than I do.
Yeah.
So
he's like a mini me, but he's like 2 foot taller than me.
Exactly.
But yeah. Oh, I suppose we should probably jump straight into NSC itself, as I mentioned. Yes. So we competed in the spring split last season. And obviously last time we were on here, we were, sorry, not the spring split, the winter split. The last time we were on here, I believe we were also talking about the winter split, and that was 2023 or early 2024. We were on here.
That's freaky.
That's really, really strange. But we're back. And yeah, like I said, we're here to talk winter 2024 NSC. What a season it was, I tell you. That was my debut managing for London Legion. I've been playing Siege with London Legion for a couple of splits. Decided that playing wasn't really my thing. Couldn't keep up with the rest of them. Hit my peak and was like, that's enough. Time to go and.
Yeah, gave up the ghost and retired.
Oh yeah, I just I mean, I wasn't any good. So I like to think I was, but I wasn't.
Yes, you were. Don't kid yourself. Be real.
I was great. I was the best, better than him. So yeah, winter 2024. We had a really, really good split. We came out the gate strong, and yeah, we just sort of ran with it. So do you want to take it away? You can explain it in more detail.
Well, obviously we ended up getting into Division 2. We did get our Division 2 quite late into the split. However, I will say there was a few hiccups along the way. Some of our early games we definitely shouldn't have lost.
I agree with that.
I feel like there was a lot of. Then again, we did have a lot of early roster issues. Once again, as you do with Siege, well, we had to rope in someone from Apex to come join us. Although he has been a very, very welcome addition to the roster. But yeah, just early Siege, there was a few problems. You know, the chemistry took a little while to sort of break in. So while we were winning games purely based on our mechanical skills, you know, the team wasn't
gelling.
Yeah, we weren't, you know, joined together quite well. Yeah, like that. We didn't quite have that connection until probably like halfway through the split. By the time we'd actually gotten into Division 2 is where I'd say we'd sort of like found our ball and started rolling with it. So a lot of those early games sort of, you know, I'm sure to the chagrin of both of us, were very, very jarring that we lost. But
just a little bit.
We still made it to Division 2.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse. We finished, what, top 4?
Yeah, 4th.
Yeah. Which is by no means like an easy task at all. But
I think you said it yourself as well. We had roster issues. Yes. We came on here last time talking about roster issues.
Yes.
We come on this time, we're talking about roster issues. It's just one of those things that when you're in such a volatile area that is, you know, like University Esports, where there's a high turnover rate of players every season. We had a couple of dropouts mid-season, which obviously caused me issues. As you know, debuting my sort of managerial role, it was very, very stressful to sort of navigate that. And I took a couple of days, and I was like, not sure we need this person. Maybe we need this person, and then decided on we need this person. You know, he's coming. He's been integral. You know, far, far better than, you know, what I could have ever have hoped for. Really, really supported us actually, you know, achieving that Div 2 4th place, which was, I was really, really sad we lost out on 3rd. But oh my lord, was I ever so happy that we hit fourth. I mean, that was 84 teams registered for winter, and out of the entire 84, we came 12th. So that's our highest ever placement with London Legion Siege. It's not the highest placement that London Legion have had overall, but oh my lord, was that a very, very stressful but very, very exciting split. And it's something that we hope to build on. We're going to come into NSC Spring, which we'll talk about shortly. I've got some other things to talk about before we hit this season. But last season was very much an eye opener for me and an eye opener for everybody else.
Oh yes,
and it was exciting actually to see that the team that I'd chosen with with the competitive director, with Louis, the former competitive director now, was a team that actually worked. It was the best that we had. And this year we had far, far better players. So many more. People who actually wanted to work and people who actually wanted to learn the game and were willing to sit down and do 3-4 hour training sessions and do scrims twice a week and then play NSC and do weekend stuff. And these guys were really, really, really excited for that. And I'm very, very happy actually that we achieved what we did achieve. And touching on achievements, I really want to bring some up that's very important to myself. We had the incredible opportunity to take London Legion to Shoreditch.
Oh yeah.
In November last year, in November 2024, on the last weekend, I think it was, or second last weekend in November.
I believe so, yeah, because it was when I moved in.
Yeah. I remember that situation very well.
Mm-hmm.
It was very stressful. We had the opportunity to take them to Shoreditch, to the Rebel Gaming Arena, where a company that's being started up, it's called the United Kingdom University League. It's run by myself and several other College of Esports students, alongside students from across London. We put on a Rainbow Six Siege Invitational style event. It's our first ever event we ran. It was very, very hastily thrown together, may I say so myself, as the guy who ran it. We had about 4 weeks to prepare.
Yep.
After we got the date secured, it was very, very stressful.
It was not very well
It
crafted at the time.
horrible. It was like, oh, by the way, they have this slot open. And it was like, okay, I guess we'll do it. But actually, the end product was a 10-hour event that garnered us about 400, 500 online viewers, about 30, 40 people actually in the venue watching, 4 teams that battled it out across the whole day in several best of 3s and then an ending best of 5, which was a very stressful day.
Oh, yes.
So many issues with the production and audio, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is the fact that out of all 4 teams, London Legion performed the best, as I expected, as I would expect of them.
No bias, though.
No, absolutely not. We took Roehampton University, we took Royal Holloway, and then we also took UCL alongside London Legion to Shoreditch, where they competed, like I said, over a 10-hour period for a first place and a little trophy which they got. It was just a small one with a little engraving on it that they missed out the first 2 letters of invitational, which is hilarious.
I haven't actually seen the trophy.
I don't know where it is. I think it's in the office somewhere. It's hilarious. But you didn't play that.
No, I did not.
You did cast it, so I want to know.
I did get to see a lot of the games. I did get my hands a little bit dirty in
yes, you did.
the casting.
Yeah, you definitely saw more than I did. I was running around headless, sorting out every audio issue.
Yeah, I got to see every little play. I got to see every little misplay as well.
But walk us through the first game. We played UCL in the first game.
So UCL, I thought UCL was going to be a very interesting game to begin with, because obviously Ibsa, my co-caster, was their captain.
Yep.
So it was about it was our 2 teams. There was a lot of chemistry between them already, as Eddie was there and he was competing himself. But game 1, I thought it was going to be very, very head to head, like we're going to be just constantly going back and forth, trading rounds. But it actually wasn't, it wasn't insane. And there was a lot of excitement in terms of London Legion because, again, I wasn't playing. It wasn't our regular roster. But also we had the ability to have Nat there as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of exciting gameplay like traits. Whenever we had timeouts, it was fantastic. But I think map 1 was very, jitters for both teams. It was very scuffed. This doesn't help.
Oh, well, We lost map 1.
Yeah.
Which wasn't great.
So, yeah, obviously we had a lot of jitters for map 1. And it was kind of rough casting it. But it's a map that we don't often play. It was Bank, Bank's never really, unfortunately, been our strong point. We have, I think the problem as well, though, is that we had made strats for Bank, obviously involving me, but we'd only really practiced it a couple of times. So Bank was kind of just a very not good pick for us. So, thanks UCL for picking that. And then Clubhouse, that's our map. I'm sorry. Clubhouse and Chalet are our maps. And the fact that we got them back-to-back against UCL is just perfection. As you can tell, like the scorelines, 7-2 on Clubhouse. We trained Clubhouse so frequently, and it was constantly just being played at NSE. We were just never losing Clubhouse. I'm sorry. It's our map.
Absolutely not.
Same with Chalet. I'd say Chalet is a little less competent than Clubhouse, though, because of the playstyle we have. And at the time, it just wasn't perfect. Like, we hadn't perfected it just yet. Whereas I feel like now we have. So if we went back to Clubhouse, I reckon we could. Yeah. Not Clubhouse. If we went back to Chalet, we could easily 7-0 them.
100%. I can see that happening again.
Yeah. But 7-3, winning game 1 against UCL. London Legion just kind of dropped the ball on map 1, but it was good. It was good.
It happens. So we won that, and then it was Royal Holloway, Roehampton, which Roehampton managed to take 2-0-1 maps. That was quite a comfortable sweep. Very solid.
It was
Royal Holloway. I love you guys, but that was
unfortunately it was
pretty much.
Especially game 1 was very free.
It was what was it 7?
It was 7-0.
Yeah,
it was 7-0 for map 1.
I felt really bad for Royal Holloway because they didn't actually field the team for NSE, so they were just like we're grabbing scraps and throwing people basically at the meat grinder, and it was horrible to watch.
Unfortunately, it was like throwing a child into a zoo enclosure.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, he said it perfectly. And then we came to the final, the final round. I mistakenly said it was a best of 5 earlier. It was a best of 3. We were very pressed for time. We'd been in there since 8 o'clock that morning.
Oh, God, remind me.
It was just horrible. We then took Roehampton to 3 maps, all the maps, walking us through first on Border 7-4.
Oh, so the Border game was honestly kind of just like scary, to be honest. I didn't really like the Border game because it's again one of those maps that we had strats for, and we can play well, but there's certain things about Border that don't just click with us. We've never really liked Border. We sort of picked it as an off map for NSE because other teams also don't like Border. So we were like, oh, if we can sort Border out, then we can drag this. We can get those sort of scummy wins, but a win's a win at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah.
But Roehampton were very competent at Border. They actually play Border quite frequently, and it wasn't so much that it was just an absolute massacre like it was for Royal Holloway.
Put up a fight.
But yeah, losing 7-4, unfortunately, it wasn't that surprising to me. Casting the event, I did think going into it that Border was going to be a bit of a bad map, but they did get the 4 rounds, so it could have been a lot worse. And then game 2, once again back on Clubhouse, our map. However, they did sort of take us. Yeah, they did take us by surprise. The previous Clubhouse game went 7-2, just absolutely stomping them. But they did take us 7-5 on Clubhouse. Fair enough to them, although I will say some of the plays that came out on Clubhouse compared to Border were a lot more exciting to cast. Border's sort of I won't say it's a boring map. But it's a boring map. Boring. I don't.
It's so
like
boring.
that map sucks.
Square.
Yeah, it's just it shouldn't be in Siege personally, but
no, absolutely not. It's a horrible map.
So Clubhouse, casting Clubhouse was a lot more fresh, and it felt a lot more exciting. But again, we won the Clubhouse, and then it went to the decider, map 3.
Fun enough, it was Bank.
Yes, Bank once again, a map we don't have the best record for. And we almost got absolutely steamrolled.
I was on the floor watching that final match. I'd finally stepped away from all of my duties, fixing things because everything was going perfect, and watching that was very aggravating.
Yes. Casting it was
Yeah.
worse.
There's not a lot of words that could describe the feeling I had, but when we won that, there's a video that one of the photographers took of me almost jumping into Louis. Yeah, literally jumping into his arms
I've
almost.
seen that.
Because we'd finally won 8-6 in overtime. We took them all the way.
Yeah. What was the score initially? It was like 6-2.
Oh yeah, they
Something
had us
like
on the
insane.
ropes.
We literally had won like 2 rounds, and they were literally by the skin of our teeth. Because I remember casting them, and I was just like, "Oh God, we're just getting massacred.
Yeah.
We're just getting absolutely
was
railed."
horrible.
Like, and then we started winning, and I was like, "Oh, okay. We're really sort of dragging this out. I don't think I think we have fuel in the tank, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to take us to overtime." And then suddenly the scoreline's 6-6, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yep.
we have a chance here. All we need is 2 rounds." And then I think it was the first round we took quite convincingly, and then the second round we dropped bodies very early. And I was like, "Oh no, we're going to 7-7. We're gonna need to like really lock in here." And then Jack pulls out the Solace shotgun, the most random pick in the entire game, considering Solace shotgun at the time wasn't buffed. It was considered the worst shotgun in the game, pretty much. And he just kept killing people.
Yeah, he just kept getting.
They were just walking into him. They were letting him like shoot them. And then I remember there was one play, I believe it was open area, he was roaming, and someone just walked into a shotgun, and then a Blackbeard appeared behind him on the window, and he just pulls out his SMG-11 and domes him. And I was like, "Oh my God, they've got this.
Behavior, yeah.
They've got this." And while we did lose the production, what was it? Tenchi? Was that the Roehampton player's girlfriend that was streaming it?
Mm-hmm.
She graciously let me have the clip of me screaming my lungs off at London Legion winning.
Yes, sir. I remember
that was an insane game.
The whole of the lads erupted. Nat, who was taking my spot for the day, as manager, he was coaching. Just crazy behavior. I didn't have any headphones on, and
I've never seen him so
in.
lively.
And the camera cuts to us, and all I can hear out of my ears is just him, just screaming the entire gaming arena down. And I had to go over and speak to the one Red Bull guy left that day, and I was like, "I'm so sorry for the noise." He went, "I was watching it." He had to open on a tablet in front of him watching it, and I'm like, "Fair enough, mate." I'll write that. Bloke was just going nuts. Yeah,
it was an impressive comeback, and I think he deserved every ounce of that energy. Because I'm pretty sure when we were 6-2 down, he was scrolling TikTok. I think he was mentally chalked. He was not in it, and the team just brought it back.
No, but like they deserved it. They worked so hard throughout the entire thing. I came in, and I've said this before. The way I wanted to manage was take ideas from jobs, not just work it as an esports team. When you come into a position like this where you're managing something, in my opinion, you need to treat it as something you're working towards. You can't just sort of be very lax with it, which is why I took a lot of philosophy from some of my managers that I've had, working for in the hospitality sector. I've worked in retail, and those lessons that they taught me, I wanted to teach the guys as well, and I wanted to bring that idealism with me. Which is why we created like rotas as such. There was like a schedule that we had and that we all adhered to. We were there 15 minutes early. If you were there 15 minutes later, you'd get told off, sort of thing. I wasn't trying to actively tell people off, but everybody turned up on time most of the time.
Bar one. Bar one.
But everybody was willing to learn, and everybody was there to build strategies together and work on things together and grow as a team. And that's what helped us win. And that was the most important thing.
Yes.
And carrying that into this season, which is our second season together, as with me as the manager. I had some time out of being the manager for a little while.
Yes, you did.
Over December and January. We're not going to go into detail. But a lot of things have happened.
Yes.
Because of that. And that's always a good thing.
Progression, and he is back.
I am back, yes. But yeah, carrying that into this season, we've got a couple of changes to the roster. We've got some new faces.
We have some exciting changes to the roster personally.
Roster issues, always. We've all, I built my roster that I wanted this season. It wasn't the one I wanted overall. We had a couple of dropouts. We had people that, just didn't want to be involved in the trials, and that's understandable. At the end of the day, we are at university, and that always comes first. We had some new faces. We've got Theo, we've got Owen now.
Yep.
And Theo and Owen are 2 first years. Theo, who has stepped into a role that he probably didn't want to play.
Yeah, very last minute decision to have him in there.
Yeah, he was sort of. We had a dropout after I'd selected the roster and I'd gone through all the initial setup with the guys, and that dropout was like, okay, that happened, and then Theo stepped up.
He's done good in his position.
He's done so well.
Personally. Obviously, we had Theo as a sub because he's fairly. I won't say new, but like he's not like high level playing the game. Like he's only been playing it for a few months. So we sort of had him in this sub position so that he could learn. He could come to the sessions. We'd figure out what was going on. We'd have him, join in. We'd obviously, if we were doing strat building sessions, we'd sort of explain stuff to him and how like gameplay works and the sort of decision making behind all of our strats. We'd have him join us for like rank sessions so that he can sort of experience what it's like playing with us, and sort of like get that high level knowledge that me, Nat, Jack have.
Yeah,
maybe not so much Levi.
Maybe not so much Levi.
But he's sort of had to fill in the shoes of our support because Ben unfortunately did drop out. But he's done a very good job of picking things up fast. Obviously, we've had a fair few mishaps. While he's obviously we've had 2 games of the split.
Yeah, we've had one.
We're
week,
1-1.
Yeah.
But he's done very good in picking things up and also self-criticizing. We did have a discussion the other day after playing a Siege Cup, where we lost games we really shouldn't have lost.
I agree.
Some of that was down to technical issues. Some of that was down to just gameplay. But Theo, obviously, Nat got very pressed in one of the games because he's a very passionate man. And when something is going wrong that really shouldn't be going wrong, he will tell you. And Theo, a lot of people, especially on the team, will just sort of go quiet and they'll reflect, but they won't sort of self-criticize. Whereas Theo, immediately after the game, people started leaving. Nat was doing a VOD review on Defen. And Theo came to me and he was like, look, I know I'm not like the best at this game, but there's a few things that I'm like noticing about myself. While my aim like mechanically is okay, my positioning is just, it's not there. And I've had this problem since Valorant and I was very stubborn to, improve it. But, I want to perform for this team. And so I sort of sent him, not sent him, but like I sort of referred him to some like positioning stuff that me and Nat did. And hopefully going forward, his positioning is going to be a bit better. Yeah. We're going to see him improving. I've already said that he's a lot better than like literally the day we first played with him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And honestly, I'm enjoying his addition. He's very fresh.
That's what I really like about Theo is that he's eager.
Yeah.
He wants to learn. And
I will say that comes with its detriment at times.
Yeah, sometimes. I think he's also eager to perform. I think that's where his pitfalls are really. But, looking and reflecting on game week 1, our first game was a game where
it was a very good game.
It could have gone the other way though.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of the game.
Yeah,
it's the first game of the season. We've got our seedings. We're against a team that realistically we should be against.
Yeah,
we should
100%.
be. We should be like having a back and forth game, and I enjoyed that very much.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there was mistakes. There was things that we could have done to sort of take the game easier, and we did note a few of those out.
Oh yeah.
And going forward, those issues are going to be resolved.
And then when we look at the what our season looks like for us, our roadmap of our season, for example, let's break down what we're doing. So obviously we've already mentioned we're doing NSE Spring 2025. Our goals for that are either win Div 2 or we at least want to try and get into Div 1. That is our dream as such. we're doing some external tournaments as well. We're trying to enter as much as we can.
Yes.
I made the mistake last year of not having, whilst I was talking about sort of all of my things that I'm bringing in from the world of work and the actual real world, I neglected to bring in sort of like an availability sheet where people could fill it out. So we had a lot of, I can't make this day, and this was 2 days, 3 days before, and I was like, okay, well, we can't do that tournament I wanted to do. But now we're doing a lot more tournaments. The University of Southampton, their R6 team hold a league. It's called, is it Tommy's Tens?
They have a weird name for the league where it's like Chommies something.
Chommies Challengers or something like that. So we're doing that league. That's fun. That's 8 weeks running concurrently with NSC. That starts next week on the 19th.
So
so that'll be Wednesday. So we're doing that, and obviously NSC on the Thursday. You guys did the Siege Cup, which was Friday. Obviously, that happens. They did that. They won 1 out of their 3 games they played. So not a great start.
That one was rough.
A start. We'll probably end up doing more of them as well. And obviously, when SI finishes, which we'll talk about very soon,
momentarily,
we'll be doing the community cups for Blast as well.
Yes,
we're just trying to do as much as possible. We had scrims a lot, but scrims are only great when you have another team. And a lot of teams we have contacts for have either not built their teams, or they built their teams too late, or they're not fielding a team this year. And for us, that's obviously, we can't train. But now, more and more tournaments popping up. We're doing more and more stuff. March, when we actually start to do more and more stuff on the weekends, obviously we've got busy schedules over the next couple of weeks. I think March is going to be sort of like our time to take things away, and as we move into hopefully trying to achieve our Division 1, that's going to be really really massive. I see you smiling at that.
A little bit.
Lou.
A little taper fade.
Lou was a joke. Oh, don't even get me started. Well, I think we should transition off of how massive that was.
I think we should talk about SI,
SI
and how massive that is.
Yeah, SI is massive. So,
rightly so.
I feel like I think it's the first time that they've not done it. Obviously, they went to Brazil last time. They've done it obviously in Montreal for so much. They've moved it to the US for the first time, I believe. They're in Boston. They're at the
Icky
MGM Music Hall at Fenway Park in Boston, where I don't know baseball, so I'm not going to say who plays at Fenway Park. I feel like it's the Red Sox.
Who knows?
Right, I might be wrong.
Is that Boston? No, is it Boston? Yeah.
I'm just trying to think
New
of
York.
who they go and watch in Family Guy at Fenway Park.
Yankees? Or is that?
No, is
that a different sport? I don't even know.
No, that's the same sport, but that's in Manhattan. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. A team plays there.
I'm not a baseball
We're
guy,
not American, so
I have no idea.
it's fine.
But yeah, SI groups. Let's have a chat. I'm gonna grab up the group stage on my
I was about to say, I do have the
Because,
groups here.
I have not managed to watch any of the
I
SI,
have
but
watched
he
the
has.
majority of SI, and I have some very, very important things to say about SI.
So let's go through group by group. There's 4 groups, A, B, C, and D. Group A, well, it's nice to see G2 back on fine form. 4 wins with no overtime wins. Straight 7 wins. Straight 7-round wins.
Everybody called me crazy for putting them first place in my group pick'ems.
G2.
Everyone said, "Oh no, they've been to like 3 last chance qualifiers this year. They're not playing good." And I said, "Oh, do we not remember 2019 where they held strats for an entire year just to then win SI? Who would have guessed? It's almost like I've seen this happen before." I knew I had faith in my team. I had faith in my team to bring it out and to win. And look, they didn't drop a single map in groups.
No, that's true. They did
and
not.
Guess who was right? Me.
8-0 record for maps. In that same group, they had M80, who managed to go 2 wins, 1 overtime win, and 1 loss. Unwanted, who were their new challengers.
I believe they were Beast Coast, Cloud9, predominantly their roster.
Should we have a gander?
I believe it's their roster, or the majority of their roster.
That was definitely Beast Coast.
After the Cloud9 graciously scammed everyone. Thanks, Cloud9, as you do. Would not be the first time they've done it.
Oh, great. Politics.
We remember Valorant.
Speaking of Valorant, Team Liquid were next up. 1 win, 2 overtime losses.
Everyone said they were topping groups. Everyone said they were the GOATs. Everyone said they were winning, and they did not.
And the team you'll want to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh,
and
yes. I have a lot to say about Team Joel. I have so much to say about Team Joel. How are you not winning a single map in groups? Let the fish play. Let the fish play.
Blue fish.
It's poor. They have 0 points in groups.
That's true.
How do you have 0 points in groups?
They lost all 8
They
maps.
did not win a single map. I'm pretty sure they just got absolutely like dominated in every map. Like, I believe they had like the only game I fully remember was I believe they had a fairly close game with Liquid for one of the maps. And then I stopped watching them because I realized how terrible they were. And
Pretty much.
anyone who doom scrolls Siege TikTok and knows of famous ex-pro Drip Bullin Yardi will hear a lot about how awful Team Joel is. Absolutely just disgraceful to the game.
Pretty much.
Just awful.
Moving swiftly on, however, I'm afraid I don't want to cut you off talking about how much you love Joel.
Yes.
We are on to Group B, and we're going to quickly run through this. Group B comprised of 2 of Latin America's greatest, FaZe Clan and, well, you always have a go at me for how I pronounce Furia.
It's Furia. It is Furia.
Furia Esports obviously picked up the W7M World Champion winning roster last year. The year before last, I don't know. They picked up W7M's roster, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Furia picked up first place, winning 3 of their 4 matches. FaZe swiftly behind them, winning also 3 of their 4 matches. Shopify Rebellion, they're a team who also have just come into Siege. They're very much big in the Valorant space.
Yeah, I believe they're owned by, or partnered with Moist Esports.
They,
I do remember seeing Critical watching their games.
It wouldn't surprise me. They obviously have the best IGL and the best that Canada has to offer as their IGL Canadian. I love DZ. I love Canadian.
They are not on DZ, boy.
And then Cyclops managed to come 4th. Dead last, as expected, was Team Secret. They've not done very well at all in years.
Look, all I'm saying is I had hope for Secret this SI, and they have failed me.
Yes,
and
sir.
I am very upset.
Pretty much. Now, Group C was a very close call, I will say. BDS winning 2 of their 4 matches was interesting, to say the least.
Lucky Fact did have a crash out on Cafe. I was very... If you have not seen it, as there are some things that I cannot quote right here, please, whatever you do, go on TikTok and Google Licky Fact Crash Out SI, and you will see the greatest. Actually, maybe after we finish talking about groups, the second greatest moment of this SI.
Yeah.
As there is something I will be talking about when we finish talking about groups that was very interesting.
Former E1 Esports organization, Razar, they're now owned by a Brazilian streamer. They managed to come 2nd in their first ever SI. DZ coming 3rd, again, winning also 2 of their 4 matches. Falcons and PSG Talon. It's a shame about Talon Esports, actually.
This one's very controversial, especially with some of the community.
I can understand why. So the only reason that Falcons went through, as far as I can see here, is that they actually managed to win a map outright.
Yeah, they got a single 2-0, whereas PSG Talon only 2-1 their wins.
They managed to get overtime wins instead of actual outright wins, which
also,
allowed them to go straight through.
Falcons did, instead of dropping all of their losses as 2-0, they 2-1 a lot of their losses as well.
Very, very understandable.
It's rough. It's rough.
So out of all of the groups, we're now to Group D, and it looks like Group A had the best run.
This was an exciting one for me personally.
Group D was incredibly close. Former world champions W7M came 2nd, only being topped by Virtus Pro, the former Empire roster. One of the best to ever grace Rainbow Six Siege. Space Station Gaming came 3rd. They've not had a great rap at all. They've not won pretty much anything, and they won what SI did they?
Well, like
years
10
ago.
years ago when it didn't matter. Yeah.
And Oxygen with a straight 1-1-1-1-1 record. I think it was 4.
Yep.
Scars, who obviously is a team you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
Dead last, losing all 8 maps.
You know it's bad when a team leaves early. I don't believe they even played their final game. I think they lost 3 of them 2-0 and just gave up.
I would too, quite frankly, if I was losing that bad. Which kind of sucks. Any analysis you want to provide for the group stages?
Honestly, some of the a lot of the gameplay was stellar. However, there were a lot of questionable decision makings from a lot of teams and a lot of bad performances. And what I'd like to highlight, I will be coming back to when we finish talking about group stages, is M80. Especially on their game of G2. Obviously, as someone who was very excited to watch G2 play, I saw the entirety of the M80 G2 game. And I'd like to question what M80 were taking before the game, because, wow, it was poor. We had Packer, their IGL, going, I believe, a combined... throughout map 1 and 2, he, before getting a single kill, went 0-14. 0-14 at SI. That is rough. That is not a performance you ever want to be giving. I believe he ended the game, 2-16?
Maybe they should pick up Levi instead of it.
Yeah, I reckon Levi would probably still perform better than...
Levi.
He'd still probably perform better than Packer, to the point where G2 called out their coach. Sorry, no. I think it was... one of the players they had as coach. I think their coach used to be on the M80 roster.
Was it was it Bodega?
No. They were I can't remember what their coach is. But I believe he came from the M80 roster. And they immediately put in chat during a round where Packer was trying to save to have a free timeout to sort of talk to his team. They immediately put in chat that their coach and their ex-player would not be going 0, and I believe at the time it was 0-8.
Blimey.
Very much just pulling out the heaters against them.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And then also Dream on Unwanted. Unwanted is a team that a lot of people have been excited for because, again, it's predominantly made up of the Beast Coast roster, and Dream is just dropping stinker after stinker.
Stinker after stinker.
And unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles for Dream. But he also just sort of needs to step it up.
Yeah.
If they're going to be playing well outside of groups.
Well, this is what I said about, before SI started, is that the state and the quality of Siege Esports feels different.
Yes, absolutely.
The teams that I once enjoyed watching won't ever make an SI.
No.
And it's really sad because that just seems to be the state of esports overall. More and more teams are dropping out. It's becoming, less affordable to stay in esports and to stay in these big tournaments. And, there are teams that should be qualifying.
Look, I've been telling you for a year now, Fnatic aren't good. They dropped their, APAC roster, moved to Europe. And
picked up an absolutely incredible roster.
Yeah, picked up one of the best rosters I've seen in a long time, and haven't done anything with it.
In fact, they dropped 2 people.
Yep, they've really dropped the ball. They really need to lock in.
I remember when we were on here last time, I was talking about the fact that Fnatic and ENT had reintroduced themselves to Europe, and how excited I was for them. And I watched the entirety of stage 1 of EU League when they were finally in it, and was shocked at how poor
it was so
we'd
bad.
done. It was so bad. They didn't even qualify for Manchester, which is ridiculous. And Manchester Major is a sore spot in mine and Logan's lives.
Yes, we are very upset. We will
skip over that.
Yeah, we won't bring that up here.
Let's go straight on to playoffs. So SI playoffs have been happening over the last weekend, and of course today they'll be happening as well. Let's talk about upper bracket first. Actually, no, let's talk about lower bracket. No, actually, we have to talk about upper bracket first because we have to explain the lower bracket. Game 1, Unwanted W7M 2-0 in a best of 3. Pretty ridiculous.
Especially when it's Unwanted, a team that people have been criticizing a lot during groups. Obviously, as I previously mentioned, Dream's solo performance has not been up to par. So the fact that they took a team that, they may not be the roster that won Worlds, but they certainly have not dropped the ball at all until this tournament. They have been performing incredibly well at majors. They've been doing very well throughout the year. So to watch Unwanted, a team with no org, I don't even know if they have a coach playing with them at the moment. While I've been watching their games, I haven't been paying too much attention to player cams and team spots and all that. So I don't actually know if they have a coach with them. But getting 2-0'd by a team like Unwanted for, a world-class team and, one of the best performing of the year is kind of insane.
Very scary when you consider that W7M were the team who went unbeaten at a major.
Yes.
They won everything that year.
Yeah, they won Pro League that year. They won, 2 majors? They won SI. And they couldn't be Unwanted. A team that they won a single major this year as Beast Coast, and that's it. They haven't performed well. So the fact that they're just it's rough.
Unwanted are definitely a shell of that DZ side that I fell in love with. You mentioned that they might have a coach. Their coach is former DZ player and coach Mint. And it's funny that you mentioned Dream. I'm reading here that he was the MVP of that.
Oh really? I actually didn't
get that game. Hot and Cold and Dream both took MVPs for map 1 and map 2.
I actually did not watch that game, so that's kind of insane.
Well, the next game, SSG FaZe, ended also 2-0 to SSG, winning both matches in overtime, 8-6 and 8-7. Again, SSG, they're a team where, they're so in and out with stuff.
Yes,
they're so
are.
inconsistent.
They're very consistently inconsistent.
They'll finish third in groups, winning literally 2 matches. And winning,
and then they'll suddenly 2-0 what is considered one of the greatest teams in the region.
It's ridiculous. As I mentioned as well, the Razar Academy managed to pick up Shopify Rebellion by 2-1. That was also very interesting. Again, we're seeing more and more sort of young teams, new teams come into the scene, and I love that. And that's obviously really, really important. You mentioned M80. They've changed their logo, which I don't like.
No, their logo looks terrible.
It looks like containment breach type.
SCP sort of vibes.
But they lost to DZ. Big up Dark Zero, my guys.
This is the match I wanted to talk about. So for those who haven't been watching SI, there was a lot of trash talking going on during DZ and M80, and also rule breaking by Budega, M80's coach. He was consistently found to be talking to the team during periods where he shouldn't be, telling them what to do, giving them advice, which is against the rules if you're not doing a tactical timeout. Or during tech pauses, they're not even allowed to talk to the roster unless it has nothing to do with the game. So they, after having, I believe, 3 warnings in over the tournament. Keep in mind, this is something they flat out had to tell coaches that they can't do. This was a problem for a lot of teams during the early part of the stage. They found a lot of teams were doing it, and they were like, look, everyone needs to stop, just chill out and play the game. But Budega just kept going. He kept going. He kept talking to the team. He kept telling them to do things. And, obviously that ended up resulting in a free round for Dark Zero. And Budega was not happy about this. Keep in mind, Kenny and Budega were already trash talking each other over the barrier. And so after the game, after a lot more trash talk, Budega stormed over to the DZ players. He started a verbal altercation with Kenny, and then proceeded to sort of square up and almost start a physical confrontation with Dark Zero player Nafe. And I don't know about you, but Nafe is not someone I would want to annoy.
That's for Nafe.
Nafe looks like he would stab me. He is from the UK, so that does make sense. But they had to then sort of escort him out of the event. And now Budega is banned from attending SI. However, notably, another controversy that came with this is that M80's, I believe, game manager for Siege had an off-screen verbal altercation with, I'm not sure who it was, but I believe it was another DZ player. and is also sent home and banned.
Great.
It's up for debate whether his was deserved, as there was no like physical altercation like there was with Bodega, but M80 are now coachless.
Yeah, not the first time that Bodega has been involved in something like this.
He literally just came off of his year-long suspension for, I believe, homophobia. And also, as I saw in the Twitch chat for the games afterwards, Bodega might have a 2-year ban. He might have a 2-year ban.
Lovely guy, clearly.
And if he does, that's 3 years straight with a ban.
Yeah, losing out on coaching X set, coming back after his ban to coach M80, might be getting banned again. What was the point?
Yeah, I get we're still in a sport sort of setting and egos clash, but it's a game at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you don't need to be getting like up in Nafe's face. You don't need to be shouting at Kenny. You don't need to be starting altercations, especially. I believe there was also an off-screen altercation with potentially staffing at the event with Bodega, which why are you harassing event staff? They're just doing their job.
Yep.
If you want to get angry at the other team, sure, have a shouting match over the barrier. Don't
go harass the venue staff.
The venue staff,
job.
Yeah, half of them don't even aren't even employed by Ubisoft or Blast or anything like that.
Being employed by the venue themselves, so there's no point really. Swiftly moving on, the next 4 games after that were the next stage of upper bracket. There are some interesting ones in here. Obviously, BDS, G2, Virtus Pro, and Furia managed to go through straight away into the next stage of upper bracket as they won their groups. BDS taking Unwanted 2-1, something I'd easily expect, quite comfortable. I'm going to skip over the next game that was involved with that series, and we're going to go straight down to the VP game.
I watched the VP game. The VP game was on at 4 in the morning.
Yep.
It was usually the SI streams are finished by around 2. This game was some of the greatest Siege I've seen in a long time.
Looks like it, yeah.
It was an incredibly fun watch. It was very back and forth. It was just overtime, and my God, it was good.
8-6 on Consulate. VP took the first map. 8-6 and then 8-7. How close that was, I can imagine, for the Razar Company Academy. That must have been an incredible watch.
Watching them win out 8-7 on, I believe it was Chalet, was insane.
Yeah.
Obviously it was 4 in the morning. I had to be very quiet because my roommates were in fact asleep. But I would have been shouting, I would have been screaming. I was like, because I personally am a VP guy. VP is one of my top 5 teams. And to watch that loss was very upsetting, but also just the class of Siege that was being played was
just
incredible.
Ridiculous.
It was incredible. And both teams deserve flowers for that game.
100%. Again, as I mentioned, Furia obviously going straight through. 2-0 sweep on DZ. Something you'd expect, really. I mean, DZ have not been their best for years.
No. Bolo is basically the only thing holding that team together.
Somewhat.
Bolo and Nafe, they are the only two doing anything.
Now, the game I skipped over was the fact that G2 obviously topped their group 4-0, winning 8 maps straight without a loss. They then proceeded to lose 2-1 to SSG.
I am not impressed.
I'm not impressed either. Again, as I mentioned, SSG so consistently inconsistent. Winning the first map on Chalet 7-2, quite comfortable. Then taking a very, very heavy loss on Bank. Something they probably could have drawn back on 7-5. And then taking Cafe 7-4. Again, SSG, like you say, so consistently inconsistent. There's so many teams in esports and in the real world of sports where you look at and you go, I hate but love watching you. I'm a Manchester United fan in football, and I hate but love Manchester United so much, and I can imagine the SSG fans feel the same way.
I think the upsetting thing as well about that game is that SSG picked up what's his name, Benja, the guy who essentially won G2 their last SI.
Yeah, Benjamaster.
And watching SSG then beat G2, who have been steamrolling every team, and in groups probably would have steamrolled SSG. Where's this come from?
Yeah, Benji, the youngest SI winner ever in that. What was that 2023 win?
Believe so, yes.
The youngest SI winner, which is crazy.
And then proceeded to consistently
Absolutely
drop donuts in EU L League.
Yep.
Got removed from it G2 and is now suddenly the
something.
best player again.
Oh yeah, just incredible. Upper bracket, not finals, but the next stage of the upper bracket will be happening very, very soon. BDS will take on SSG in a game that will see them either go through to the upper bracket finals, go to the the next stage of losers bracket. The Rizar Academy will face Furia.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That's a Brazilian matchup there. That'll be a little bit of a derby. Brazilian fans are the best.
Oh yes, they are
best.
the most passionate about every esports.
I agree. They
are so fun to watch events, and I have a feeling that when I watch that game on the Twitch stream, it is going to be very passionate in chat.
Yeah, definitely something or other. And as we're speaking, actually, the lower bracket, the first stage of lower bracket has started now. Shopify Rebellion are taking on Oxygen in the match that'll probably go either way, really. Both teams are probably about as good as each other.
I feel I don't know.
You don't like Oxygen, though.
I don't like Oxygen because I have never seen Oxygen perform. I've never seen Oxygen perform. They are not a good team. Shopify Rebellion on a bit of a inconsistent sort of pace at the moment. I personally have my bets on Shopify. I think Oxygen, especially from what I've seen of this SI, shouldn't have continued in groups. They should have been eliminated, but weren't. So, well, it's tough to be eliminated when Scars is your opponent.
Yeah, that's very true. They're playing everybody's favourite map first, Lair.
I love Lair, and I wish people would put some respect on it. I do wish people would put respect on it.
Yep. MAT and Cyclops are also playing today. They are battling out also on Lair first.
Unfortunately, I love CAG. I love Cyclops very much. And I hate M80. I hate M80 with a passion. I don't think CAG have this. I think it's ropes.
Later on, it'll be FaZe Liquid. That's another
That's going to be an interesting
LATAM derby.
Game.
Two very, very powerful, passionate teams.
Yes.
Sending one of them home feels
wrong. Yeah. It feels like this should be a match that we should be seeing in like upper brackets semis.
Yeah.
Not lower brackets first game.
You know what I mean? It doesn't sit right.
It's not right. But also, with the sort of stinky performance Liquid have been putting in this SI, I'm not surprised.
W7M will take on Falcons, and Falcons obviously off the back of winning the Esports World Cup as an organisation. They obviously they didn't win Siege. That was BDS. That'll be an interesting one. I think Falcons are a team that have got a lot of power behind them.
But I think with their scraping for groups,
you'd expect W7M to take it out of the park.
But I also feel that scraping is potentially going to ignite something within Falcons. I think that's where they've got to be like, guys, we almost lost groups. We're only here because we had a better win than PSG did. We really need to sort of get our stuff together, and we need to just push forward, because if they don't, they will be going home. I think it's
desperation turned into like passion and actual drive. The winners of those four matches, if it's W7M Falcons, they'll be playing DZ. Out of FaZe and Liquid, they'll be playing VP. Again, they're gonna have to send one of them home as well. It just doesn't sit right.
But we've got an interesting game with Liquid and FaZe, and then we're immediately gonna have an interesting game with VP versus either of these teams. I think
you want to watch.
I was gonna say, for once, lower bracket might have my attention more than upper bracket.
Yeah, might have it. Shopify Rebellion, Oxygen. Well, your favorite. They'll have to face G2, and
but I don't think either of those teams can beat G2 right now.
Should just be a bit of a wash.
I think G2 will wash them, and then honestly, one thing I am excited for though, for the next game, M80 CAG, the winner goes to play Unwanted. That does mean that if M80 beat Unwanted, they'll be going against G2, and we will be getting a run back.
Bit of a rematch, yeah.
And me personally, I know who's winning. We didn't drop a map to you, M80. We didn't. We're winning.
Ridiculous behavior.
We're winning. I'm sorry, G2.
That is very true.
I gotta hold out hope for my boys.
Yeah, of course you do.
There's not a lot of it left after that loss to SSG, because we should not have lost that at all. However, anything can happen.
Just the way it goes.
That's how Siege is.
Oh, speaking of how Siege is, the esports scene has been a bit in a bit of disarray. We've obviously lots of controversy from SI. There's lots of teams leaving. There's lots of new teams joining.
Yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, the state of the scene is different. I think when you grow up with a certain amount of teams being involved in your scene, teams that you fall in love with, let's take Na'Vi, for example, where I remember staying up very late at night to watch Japan League finals in 2019. I remember staying up to 3 a.m, something like that. And I managed to watch, I think it was Citizen. And I mention this all the time because I absolutely love this. That incredible 1v4 was just top notch.
Na'Vi used to be something special, man. And it's sad to see them no longer in Pro League. Na'Vi,
it's sad, yeah.
Obviously, other games like CS, they are the biggest team. And it's upsetting that we don't get to see such a household name in esports in our scene anymore. I feel like they had a lot of potential. They sort of dropped the ball. Their org sort of lost hope in them. And I feel like they called it quits too early. I feel like there would be... I don't know, man. I feel like they should just come back. I feel like they need to come back.
There's too many teams now that I don't recognize the Siege scene. And it's really sad in a way because I love it so much, but I take one look at it and I'm like, I don't recognize half these players, half these teams, I think that's the beauty of it, however. In the sense that we're getting more and more new players who are rekindling their love for the game and they're helping rekindle the scene. That's really important, and Ubisoft and Blast will take, SI to huge venues around the world. And that's really, really important, especially considering it's always been just like a US and like Latin American sort of thing. They've always prioritized going to sort of like that side of the world. And now finally they're bringing things, to Europe more. And that's really, really important, and more European teams are coming into it. I think it's like 30% or like 40% of the player base is from America or Brazil, SI. And that's great because they show their dominance. They're always going to be, working hard, but more and more teams now are starting to come back into Siege, and it's probably going to rekindle the esport.
I really hope it does, to be honest, because Siege obviously has been on a big up socially because of Jinxie, being one of the biggest streamers and basically being the only game he ever plays. Has brought a lot of attention to Siege. But outside of a social aspect, there's not really any talk about Siege. There's never, the Siege esports scene is booming and they're topping viewer charts just over and over again. They're getting constant hundreds of thousands of viewers because we're not. We have our household names and we have this inkling of teams finally starting to sort of make it to tier 1 and playing out for tier 2 to make it to tier 1. But we still, we need that final push in the right direction. I feel like we're not far from a big economical boom for Siege Esports, but until we get there, I feel like it's going to be very just
bland.
Yeah, it's not going to be as fun. It's not going to, you're still going to see the same W7M BDS winning over and over again. Well, it's potentially not after BDS's CEO, but that's neither here nor there. They'll probably just pick up a new org.
Yeah, they probably will.
They'll still be one of the best rosters. I think any org that can get their hands on them. Yeah. Na'Vi, if you're listening.
Na'Vi, yeah.
If you can get your hands on BDS, you have a winning roster.
I agree.
It's tried and tested. They've won a major. Did they win SI? I don't remember.
No, but they definitely won a major.
They won Esports World Cup for Siege.
Yeah, they did, yeah. They're a good team.
They have proven that they are a great team. I'm pretty sure they even top 4 SI with no coach one year. I don't remember what year it was, but they have proven time and time again they are one of the best rosters. And obviously I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy watching them play, but it does get stale. It does get stale.
A bit stale. Yeah, that's very true.
I want to see a bit of shake-up. I want to see Licky Fack shouting at new players, not the same roster over and over again.
No, I completely agree. I do completely agree. Well, I think that's all we've got time for.
Yes.
today, and it's been very, very fun to be back. And I'm sure you'll see us all again in a year's time.
Yes, you will see us next year. Don't you worry.
Yes, I completely agree. Yeah, pretty much.
We have just been shown a board to take a selfie before we finish. How do you want to do this, Sam?
Are we taking it on camera now?
Yeah.
Oh my lord!
Lovely. All right, how do you want to do this?
Come cuddle up, big
Oh,
man.
you want me to come cuddle up? Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute.
I'm so awkward with my hands.
Yeah, I hate
Putting my
taking
arm behind
selfies.
here.
Oh. This is rather
I hate
sensual.
selfies.
This is rather sensual. W in the
Perfect.
chat.
Perfect.
That was way too close
That
for my
was so
liking.
cute.
That was so cute. Yeah.
So autistic. I don't like touching people. I don't like taking my own photo, let alone having people take photos.
For real.
But that is, like I said, that is all we've got time for.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure being back with the London Legion podcast.
Oh yes, and we will be here soon. Soon enough
to break down even more Siege, because we all know that you love listening to us talk.
Yes, I'd like to shout out all of the people who messaged me after this went live last time. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but good job.
Yep. It was exactly the same with my mum, who decided to come and watch it, and she was like, I got so bored by about 30 minutes in, I never ever want to see you speak about this game again, which is hilarious because she also managed to watch one of the majors with me.
Damn.
My mum loves Siege. It's ridiculous.
Shout out Evan. I know you're going to be streaming this to the group chat when it comes out.
Word. I read that. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Right.
I've been Sam.
Yes, I've been Logan.
And we will see you.
Yes, we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.